What's up, everyone? Thank you for tuning in on the very first episode of the Good Talk podcast. My name is Ryan Ventura, your host. I've been wanting to do this kind of show for years, and what better time than now to get it started. My first guest, he also wears many hats like me. He's a very well-respected individual, an event manager for New Era Promotions. They hold some of the biggest club nights in Vancouver. He's also an educated gentleman from SFU. Did you just finish school?
Yeah, actually, I just completed a big portion of my school, so I can start working right now.
Nice.
I'm really looking forward to the next chapter of my life.
Awesome, man. Well, I got to introduce him formally. This is my good friend. Glad to have you here. The one, the only Jay Phagura. That's right?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for having me.
I didn't fuck it up.
You did not fuck it up too badly.
Nice. So, you're very busy these days. You're just finishing school. What are you taking in school anyway?
So I'm completing my bachelor's in marketing. It's actually business administration, but I'm going to say marketing.
Okay.
I'm going to focus on online and social media.
Nice.
So basically, any advertisements or any real thing to get a message to a customer is what I'm looking at.
Nice.
So I'm basically sitting in front of a computer and watching YouTube videos all day.
Sweet, man. That sounds almost exactly like what I would do right now.
Exactly.
Sounds pretty cool.
The only upside is I get a piece of paper that says I'm certified.
Nice. I went to school for a year at BCIT. I got a job right away working for a marketing sector in 2009. Basically, they specialized in SEO, making websites and Google AdWords and stuff like that. And that's how I got my foot into the marketing industry. And eventually, I worked for other companies too, like EA, Yellow Pages. I worked for a Korean video game publishing company, and I did a few months contract with BC Hydro actually. So I have a kind of a diverse skill set myself.
That's pretty good, man. I mean, it's the way that everything's going right now. It feels like everyone needs to be online, and everyone's gonna be connected anyway. 10 years ago, not everyone had access to the internet on their phone, but today I'd probably say 90% of all people have access to the internet at all times. Especially with the new technologies coming out every day, and there's gonna be a car soon that drives itself. You're gonna want to be able to get to those people and connect to them, right?
I'm really curious to see how that turns out, just because I've thought about that a lot, with all the testing that they have to do for all these cars. Don't get me wrong, I'm no expert. I'm kind of an idiot actually. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm curious to know how much testing needs to be done for these cars to work.
I mean, I don't think it's something that can be done overnight. I know that Apple's making a car, Ford has a car, Tesla has a car. These guys are trying to get into it because it's clean energy. It's not really the most sustainable, but it's a first step, right? So I don't feel like it's something that's going to be done overnight, like I just said. But the amount of testing they have to do, because it's all computer programming. Yeah. Right? It's not like you're having mechanics doing it. You have mechanics who do the basic work, but the actual software and the firmware that drives the car itself, it took them 5 years to come up with Siri. And that's just a digital system on your phone. So you can only imagine how much work goes into building a car that can drive itself and can recognize road conditions.
Well, the cool thing is, I think, in our lifetime, we're going to, live to see the day when, our children could be relying on these type of vehicles and this technology.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think about that all the time. It's something that you have to think about, because when our parents are born, having a touchscreen phone was, a thing of the future.
Yeah.
Or having a car that was all electric was unheard of. But in our lifetime, hearing about someone having a self-driving car, or even a head transplant. There's some dude in China doing a head transplant. That's something that we're going to see in our lifetime.
Oh man, he's fully functional. He's alive and everything.
No. So there's a surgeon. He's I don't know what kind of head surgeon this guy is, but he's a surgeon, and he's got 5 people willing to do it. And if people willing to get their head chopped off and put it on someone else's body.
Oh man, that's scary.
The thing is, there is people that have done that for animals, but it's never been replicated in humans. Right? Well, so in our lifetime, we're going to get to see something like that.
Yeah.
So thinking about it, in 100 years from now, we're not going to be around. Imagine what's going to be out there. It's going to be amazing.
Scary. It's going to be like a movie. It's going to be real sci-fi type stuff, man. I always think about the other day. It's it wasn't just how old are you again?
I'm 24.
24. So we're not that much older than each other. I'm almost 30. I'm 28. Yeah. Right. So 4 years older. I think my generation was one of the last generations to not have smartphones.
Yeah.
So like when I graduated from high school, we still had like, the Moto Razr. Like I had one of those, and like the LG chocolate.
Yeah,
remember those?
I remember that was a dope phone. I had one.
Yeah, those, like back in those days were like, oh shit, man. Like, you can put your MP3s on there. You could take some pictures and send them to people.
Yeah.
Like that was cool. And now we're at that level where it's like, okay, that's not enough anymore. Like, we need things like WhatsApp. We need our Snapchats. We need all of these devices. And like, the things that, like, that are possible with smartphones. It still blows my mind. I feel like Bob from Reboot. Remember he had Glitch?
Yeah.
Glitch. He says Glitch, and it's like, you can make a phone call, you can contact anyone. You can literally do almost anything with your phone nowadays.
Yeah, honestly, personally, I'm like really big on the connected home. Mm-hmm. So like at home, I have like my personal bedroom door locked on, my lights turned on, my laptop. I have my TV, everything set in my room to be connected to my phone. Mm-hmm. Even right now, I got my Apple Watch on, so I'm not even looking at my phone. Mm-hmm. It's like, even this like 10 years ago was unheard of, because it'd be this huge bulk, and this thing probably weighs less than half a pound. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even say that. Like, probably is half a pound. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm living Burnaby, so I'm pretty much downtown every day. Yeah. And I'm seeing these kids with these 18-year-olds with Teslas driving around. I'm thinking like 10 years ago, or even 6 years ago when I was 18, a high fancy car to be my Civic right now. Like that'd be like futuristic. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking with these guys have cars that can drive themselves. Like there's features for that. Yeah. And even remember when the cars just started getting like the automatic backup?
Yo, it trips me out still. Still trips me out.
And the thing, like, you don't see that often, but that's like a thing of the past. Yeah. Because a lot of these fancy cars have that. Mm-hmm. It's crazy to think about.
But, I still think it's important to, like, be able to do things manually still. Yeah. Like, you need to have that knowledge. Like, for example, like, even, like, when it comes to the point where, we have, like, fully functional cars, like, that can drive themselves, I still think it's important that you should be able to know how to be on the road. Like, if some shit goes down, you should be able to, like, take the wheel and control it yourself.
Yeah, I mean, like, my dad is a truck driver, so I grew up around people driving standard. So for me, I learned on an automatic, but as soon as I could, he's like, learn how to drive standard. Mm-hmm. Right now in the city, you're not going to want to drive standard because you're just stopping and going all the time. But what if you're in the middle of buttfuck nowhere and you have to drive a standard, right? Or let's say one of your buddies got like a car and you're DD, your buddy's mango, you're not going to let the mango dude drive a standard, are you? Of course, yeah. So it's crazy because I think everyone should know how to do stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, like, even with all like this great like advancement in technology and how we have like this symbiotic relationship with technology, we should, like I said, we should still be able to do things ourselves. Like, we should still be able to know how to park our cars. We should still have to be able to know how to like set up our door alarms in our houses and things like that, whatever it may be. Sometimes it worries me. Like, I'm super like reliant. Like, if I don't have my phone with me, if I don't have like
anxiety,
I get anxiety. Like, I feel naked. Like, I feel so disconnected.
It's like you're missing a big piece of you. If I take my watch off, like I'm like, I know I'm missing something. If I have my phone in my room, like I've gotten used to it with this watch. It's just an extension of my phone. Then I'm like, I don't really care. But when I don't have my watch on me, I'm just like, life sucks. Like, fuck.
Yeah, totally. Well, speaking of advancement of technology, like, you used to do like, YouTube videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like, what happened with that, man? Like, those were really funny. Those were good times.
You know what? In my program, because what actually happened is I started at SFU and I went into BCIT because it's a more hands-on program. Mm-hmm. One of the programs, and I really always wanted to get into it, was to make videos, create a social media brand. So a friend of mine, Nitesh, he is like me. We're brown guys, but we don't get that jack mentality. We don't think like that. We don't talk like that. You don't hear me saying hundies, percent, bro, like Scott Road. I don't say shit like that. I speak like I'm educated. You can hear by the way I talk.
Totally. Yeah.
So for me, it was like, might as well give it a chance, see what happens. We made like 8 videos and ended up with like 45,000 views on YouTube, all in, and we ended up with like I think it was like 500 subscribers, something crazy. And it really just fell off the boat, like I would be like, hey Nitesh, like, if you want to make more videos, we can. And I think it got to a point where it was like, it went from being fun to being work. Even that, like, there's guys like Matt Dennison with IFHT, or like, I think it leaned at a dong, or even that Chegman dude, like, that's a lot of job, like a lot of works you have to do. So that's for me, on such a low end stuff, it was like, I had to buy a new computer, I had to buy a DSLR, you were there. Yeah. Like, it was a lot of work for me to do it. I had to write a script, we had to, like, drive around for stuff.
And then you'd have to like get everyone's schedules to come, work together and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of work, man.
It is, right? and that's like another crazy thing with technology relates back. Like I was able to sync my calendar with people. I was able to like connect everyone in the group chats and on photos and like this is what we need. I had my computer with me every time I went because in case I need to like check something or like a viewfinder. It's crazy to think like 10 years ago, you have like these guys like Vitaly or Superwoman or even Just Rain. Like 10 years ago, these guys didn't have any things that we have now. And these guys have been doing it since like 2008. So I mean, not 10 years, but still. That's like a huge difference in technology.
Oh, huge. Like even like when they started, like I remember like when it was dope to see 480p on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right? And now like we're pushing 4K. Like most computers these days, like they can't handle 4K.
No, they can't. The thing is that these phones will record 4K, but we don't have displays for it. It's like, it's crazy. And I work in a customer facing environment where I'm working with, iPhones and phones and iPads and all that shit. I'm working with that.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm get to see this stuff as it pops up and I'm like, fuck, this is pretty crazy.
This is the future.
And like thinking like 10 years, when we were kids, I remember being 10 years old and getting like, that Batman thing that had like a shooter on top?
Yeah, that's cool.
I remember getting that for Christmas and I'm like, yo, this is crazy technology. This is going to change the world. I'm going to shoot my brother in the fucking face. And then you got these kids today with iPads and these kids are like sending messages to people across the world. And I'm like, what the hell? It's crazy, especially living in Vancouver. We're like a hub for technology. Yeah. People are coming from every walk of life here and all contributing to it. And it's just like, damn, it's crazy.
Well, yeah, man. Like, I mean, we're one of like the centers for technology. Like, we have like different kinds of companies and startups. I mean, Hootsuite's like very predominant here because it was started here.
Yeah.
Right. Social media has like completely changed like everything.
Yeah.
Like, both of us were in a nightlife game. We're both promoters. Like a big chunk of the people that like we meet in this scene are because of social media.
Yeah, crazy.
We met because of Facebook.
BBM was like my boy. Yeah. Like, if it was a person, like it was the thing. And that's that
was a game changer. Yeah. BBM was game changing.
And now we got people on WhatsApp. You have WeChat. You have Facebook Chat. You have Google Hangouts. You have iMessage. And the thing is that we're probably using all of them. Or I mean, not all of them, but like a solid chunk of them.
Yeah, big chunk.
It's huge.
Right. When BBM first came out, like it was all real time. It wasn't like text, because with text there's like a slight delay, 140 character limit, right? It was just quick messages. But with BBM, you can have like, I mean, I don't recommend it, but you could have like full on conversations and put in like, you can write a whole novel if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was like a 5,000 character limit or something, but at 5,000 characters, that's a lot.
That's a lot. That goes a long way when you're trying to get like a message across or whatever.
Yeah, that's a lot of characters actually thinking about it.
Well, another thing with social media though, like we are more in touch with the world. Like I was actually watching Mark Zuckerberg's Q&A today on Facebook. Like me and my boss, we were watching it today, and one of the things that like he was talking about was like the responsibility of social media with social issues, right? Because like they're so tied like in right now that like because of things like Facebook, because of things like Twitter, like nowadays, like we shouldn't necessarily view ourselves as like citizens of like Vancouver or citizens of Surrey or whatever. We should view ourselves as citizens of the world because we're all connected that way.
I mean, I understand that mentality. I don't know if I agree with it because you're creating keyboard warriors,
So true. Spilled water.
Yeah, no judgment. Yeah, so like the whole thing with the states, like right now there was Bernie Clinton, Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, and Donald Trump, and that Ted Cruz, what the fuck his name was.
Yeah.
Like Canada has no relevancy to that.
Not at all.
At the citizen level, we don't. As a government, there's a huge commitment and to the overall well-being of the planet and humanity as a whole. But as a citizen, what the fuck are you gonna do by sharing that?
That's true.
Realistically, how many people do you know in the States? Maybe 10, 20 max?
A little bit more just because like I have a lot of family down there.
But even then, like, well, okay, let's max it. Do you know more than 100 people in the States?
No.
Or like in Facebook, you can go, was it 2,500 people on Facebook?
I have about, something around that.
Or it might be, I think it's 5,000.
Oh yeah, the limit's like 5,000.
Yeah, so it's 5,000.
Yeah.
So like, that's like that's a couple percent at max. So like your realistic range is nothing. So when I hear people saying like, you know what, I don't like what's going over in Ethiopia, I don't like what's happened in Egypt, or like I don't like what happened in Orlando, like, hey, fuck, I'm on your side. I have the most sympathies for what happened in Orlando recently.
Horrible. Absolutely horrible.
But in Canada, we have nothing to do with the state, so there's nothing I can do as a citizen here by just posting on the internet saying, hey, this is bullshit, they should have gun control laws. No, that has to be America. That has to be within their realm, that has to be within their borders. Mm-hmm. So like I do agree with it and I understand it, but at the same time it's like you have to understand like there's nothing that you can do about it. Yeah. Unless you're gonna fly 6 hours to Orlando. Or like the whole gang rape thing that happened in India a couple months ago. Ugh. Like what are you gonna do with that? I mean, yeah, I have family in India. Mm-hmm. I have family all over the world. Mm-hmm. It's not like I can get on a plane, go to New Delhi, and be like, and prosecute these guys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like creating awareness is the first step in any sort of change. You have to be aware of what's going on. Absolutely. But when you hear people like threatening others about it, I'm like, what are you doing? That has nothing to do with you.
Oh yeah, and also like social media, like especially with that stuff that happened in Orlando, like you see like some of the most ignorant motherfuckers out there. Like some of the most outrageous stuff that I've read. I'm like
they thought this guy. At first they said he was born in Afghan. It's not even Afghanistan. Donald Trump said Afghan. He's born in Afghan.
Yeah.
That's like a blanket or something.
Yeah.
The guy was born in the United States. He was military trained.Is dad was like a CIA asset or something for some British company, and like he was given access to weapons, and he was openly homophobic and xenophobic. And it's not because he was Muslim. I know plenty of Muslims. Mm-hmm. I know some Muslims that are pro, have the radicalism, and I know they're not really friends of mine. I know of them, but then you also have the more relaxed ones, which is like 90% of them.
Yeah.
I mean, the same can be said with anything. Like, the people are like, it's an act of terror. So like, let's look at what terrorism is defined as.
Yeah, that's good.
Because when you say terrorism to me, I'm thinking like, people doing something for political like they're doing something to make a change.
Yeah.
This dude was an act of terror, yes, but terrorism itself is the use of violence or intimidation in pursuit of political aims. What the fuck was this guy gonna do by killing 50 people? He had nothing to gain out of it other than just being he's a terrorist.
Yeah.
It was a hate crime.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, 100%. Like,
people are saying it's terrorism. How is this terrorism? I don't get it.
Like, did you read recently in the news about about that guy? It turned out that he was a closet homosexual.
Which one?
The guy that shot up that club.
Oh, this morning.
Yeah, he was a self-hating gay man.
And that's the thing. Like, that goes into like the whole acts of hate crimes, and it also tells us so much about America itself. And I'm not bashing America. I have a lot of friends in America. Mm-hmm. A lot of the shit they do though is kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, why would you, like, for one, I don't understand their health policy. Like, I understand Obamacare, but for the most part, the education is shit. Like, I think it's DC, like their capital, is like the lowest literacy rates. How the fuck does that happen? And then you have places like in Mississippi and Tennessee and stuff like that, that, you have people living in effectively a third world country within a first world country. Mm-hmm. Like, that's not right. And then now they're complaining about, oh, it wasn't a hate crime, it's because he had weapons. No, it was a hate crime based on your mentality. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. The fact that he had a weapon was an addition to that. Mm-hmm. He could have gotten a weapon illegally, which he did.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the whole situation is like completely messed up. Like I was just like reading the news today. Like, this is from the Orlando Sentinel. I don't want to name this guy's name because like we're not going to give this guy any shine. Yeah. At all, right? He will forever remain nameless. He's a horrible human being for what he did, right? And it says here that like he was like a regular at the club. Quote, sometimes he would go over to the corner and sit and drink by himself, and other times he'd get so loud and belligerent. Like, he was a regular at this club. He was there all the time. Like, even his wife, like, if you guys look it up, even his wife was saying that like, this guy was like making threats that he's gonna do this.
Yeah, well, she said that he's a psychopath, and he's like, there's something wrong with him. Mm-hmm.
And like, he's been on gay dating apps and all that kind of stuff. So, I don't know, like what it really is like, there's a big mental problem, right? Like, if you notice a trend with like all these people that are like shooting up places, like in the US, like a big chunk of them, like, they're psychopaths. Like, they have something like absolutely wrong with them, and they should not have access to those kind of tools. But, you know, again, like, I'm not very knowledgeable or political about this. I'm just a guy with an opinion, right?
I mean, like, there is so many things that tell you that there's something wrong with someone. I mean, like, social norms, you know, things that pop up to cultural norms. Like, I don't feel like this was so much as that this is like this was planned. I feel like this was something that's kind of like built into society. Like, hey, there's two sides of society. There's a necessary evil, and then there's people that are fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so when I hear shit like what this guy did, I'm thinking like, first I'm like, how the fuck don't you see this coming? Like, yeah, that's just like a first thing. So when people are in a big community, like we're in Canada, America has 10 times our population. So logically, you're gonna have 10 times the amount of psychopaths.
Yeah.
Right? But in Canada, there's been 7 shootings in like 20 years. Mass shooting, or even like shootings, more than 5 people dead.
Mm-hmm.
In America, there's been 7 this week.
Yeah.
You know, that's just do that out there. Like in Canada, people bash on us all the time. They're like, oh yeah, we're a smaller country. Yeah, we're this. But we don't have fucked up shit like that. And the people are saying like, oh, your gun registration is not going to do anything. Look at Australia. They have like nothing. Like the worst thing that happened was like a year ago. Yeah. And even then, like there was no one died.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then look in all of England, same shit. Like it's plummeted. And these Americans, because they think they're the center of the universe, well, a lot of them do. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, what I mean by is like the pro-white supremacist kind of mentality. Mm-hmm. They completely don't get the fact that this is their fault. Like this could have been avoided. Like it's meaningless. Like it's the same thing with the violence that happens in Vancouver. Like as you know, I don't know everyone who's listening, there's been some recent shootings in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of violence. I don't think that has anything to do with our actual culture. I think it has to do with this people not of just being stupid. Like you see it coming, why would you say something?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
Unfortunately, most of it's by young East Indian males, which is what I am. Mm-hmm. You know, it's so much that goes into it. It's frustrating.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. And I mean, like, you know, not to shed any light, like, on any, like, gun violence and stuff, but, like, a lot of times when, like, from what I find, like, shootings or whatever are targeted here, it's because a lot of those times those people are involved in a certain lifestyle. And, like, you know...
Well, it can be argued that we're involved in that lifestyle. Okay, we both work in nightclubs. We're both up until 4 a.m. Yeah. We meet a lot of unsavory characters, and realistically, we probably have dealers on our phone. We don't talk to them for that, but they hit us up.
True.
So, like, an argument can be made. Here's my thing. So, because I'm going off on the Indian tangent now.
Yeah, totally.
So, when I hear these people, realistically, East Indians are the black people of Canada. Because in America, everyone bashes on black people and Latinos. Where that's what we are of Canada. You know, and people are saying, oh yeah, East Indian kids are this or that. No, it has nothing to do with my race. It has to do with our culture. Mm-hmm. You know, there's the Punjabi culture, which is like 90% of the Indians here. And then there's the Sikh culture, which is the most dominant religion out of all of us. You know, and you have these young guys saying, oh yeah, you know, it's because how we're raised, we're Sikh. No, Sikhism tells us not to fight. Not tells us to fight. It tells us fight if we have to. If we do, if someone strikes us, you knock that fucker on the ground and make sure he doesn't get back up again. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean go pick a fight. It has nothing to do with insulting someone. It doesn't have anything to do with selling drugs. You're supposed to stop tyranny, not create it.
Yeah.
You know, where the Punjabi culture is completely different. It's like, I have to be better than someone. I have to do this. I have to do that.
Is that like something that's just like embedded like in culture or religion or what is it?
It has to do, I mean, I'm not saying every Punjabi culture is like that, but you have a lot of these families where the kids are turned into surjacks or like even the jack mentalities, you know, and for me it's frustrating. Because working nightlife, you've probably seen it, and we've talked about this before, like these young kids were like, I don't get it, you're 19, why are you throwing your life away? You can go to university, get a good job, make good money.
Yeah.
And you know what it is? Because their parents come to Canada, I think they're hot shit. They're like, oh, I'm going to give my kid a Mercedes. I'm going to let him do what the fuck he wants. And then you get upset that your kid shot someone up. Mm-hmm. You know, like, that goes hand in hand.
Well, in a way, like, it sort of creates a society of, like, people that are entitled, right? Because, like, I grew up with, like, nothing. Like, I grew up broke and, like, you know, I'm not, like, I don't have, like, a whole lot of money or anything at all still. But, like, I'm doing much better than I was growing up.
Yeah.
But, like, in a way, like, growing up that way really humbled me. Right. And like, I got to see a lot of like these, things happen from the outside. I actually grew up with like a friend of mine. He was actually one of my best friends in high school. Like he was, very well off. Like his family, they had a home in the Westwood Plateau in Coquitlam.
Oh, wow.
You know, mom was a teacher, dad worked.
That's a really like rich part, in case anyone doesn't know that.
Yeah, Ritchie area in Coquitlam, suburb of Vancouver. But like, he grew up really well off, nice house, dad worked for the government, mom was a teacher, all that kind of stuff. You know what he does now, even to this day?
Probably sells drugs.
Yeah, he's a drug dealer and involved in like all kinds of scams and everything like that. And I'm not going to like mention his name or anything like that, but like, like he chose that life, but like he had a lot of opportunity. He actually, like when he graduated from my high school, like he got a scholarship to go to a university, free ride, but instead, like when he's 19, he's like, nah, fuck it, I'm going to do this instead.
Like, I don't get it. And the thing is like, I'm not going to go and put on money, but I think it has a lot to do with the parents' mentality too.
Maybe.
Like, you know that Brock Turner, the guy that dude just raped a chick in Stanford or something? So my parents are relatively well off. My dad owns a trucking company. Mm-hmm. My mom is a self-employed hairstylist. She's busy all the time. Mm-hmm. My family is, since we've come to Canada like a long ass time ago, before my dad was born here, we've been here for a long time. We've been working our asses off, and we got money. Oh, they got money because of it. I turned out okay. I like to think that. I'm not a bad guy. Yeah. But then you have kids that live down the street from me, or even like in the same neighborhood, same upbringing as me, and they turned out like idiots. And what the fuck they doing now? They're selling drugs. 2 of them been to prison. This one guy I know has a kid when he was 21. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not bashing on that. If you can afford it, by all means. But at 21 years old, your balls is probably dropped for 1. Yeah. 2, you don't have enough money to support yourself. 3, like, in our housing market, how do you expect to buy a house? Yeah, and also like they haven't experienced like anything yet. Yeah, nothing. Like my mom got married at 21. She didn't have a kid till she was 25. So at least she had some experience. She was about my age. My dad was 26 when he got married. So even then, like I'm like, that's pretty young because it was a different time. And it goes back to technology. Everything's different. And they have these young morons because their parents, got married so young. They got money coming to Vancouver so early. And now when their kids are idiots, not doing anything with their lives, living at home. Like, there's guys that live at home when they're 35. I'm not bashing against guys that live. If you're living at home at 30, I got nothing bad to say about you as long as you're working. But then you have these guys that aren't doing jack shit. They're not grinding. So it's like, the fuck. Yeah. And then they blame it, and then you hear them blame it on, it's because these young brown kids are in bad neighborhoods. You put them in, you give them money, give any kid money, and take him off the leash. Of course, he can act like an idiot. Yeah, of course. Like, I mean, because he doesn't have to like earn any. He doesn't like have a sense of consequence or anything like that. Yeah, it annoys the hell out of me. Yeah, me too. Totally does. But let's I don't know. Maybe let's get to something like more happy. Let's talk about something cool, man. Like let's like do a complete 360. Let's talk about UFC 200. Well, I'm looking forward to that. I got that day booked off. Nice. I'm really looking forward to the fights. I'm not sure how I feel about Brock Lesnar being there, but I'm really looking forward to that. Oh, I'd like to hear it. What's your opinion on Brock Lesnar? Like, there's people saying that Brock Lesnar is one of the greats. To me, I'm like, he is a great athlete. Mm-hmm. To call him a great fighter, I mean, that's hard for me to say. That's hard for me to openly say Brock Lesnar is one of the greatest fighters of all time. No, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. Yeah, so people are like, yo, he's a great fighter. He's fighting Mark Hunt. He's going to be insane. See, Mark Hunt, in my books, is a great fighter. Mm-hmm. You guys got like 30 fights. Brock Lesnar has like 6. Mm-hmm. How are you going to compare the two? Like, Brock Lesnar fought Randy Couture on Randy Couture's way down. And not only that, like, Randy Couture, for the most part, he always belonged in 205. Yeah, you can't fight at 250 at 205. Yeah, and like, when Lesnar fought Couture for the title, like, I'm pretty sure Lesnar was like 270. He was huge. He was massive, fucking huge. Like, he was like 2 Randy Coutures, like the size of 2 Randy Coutures when they fought, Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you though, like, I'm actually kind of happy that he's back because for UFC 200, you kind of need that spectacle, that you got Daniel Cormier and John Jones. I know, but like you also you need to bust out all the guns. You need all like the biggest draws on there. I mean, like obviously like McGregor Diaz is not on that card. It was supposed to be on that card, but like I'm glad he's back there, and I think it's a great fight for Mark Hunt. We should all be happy for him. I love Mark Hunt. I always have. I think Mark Hunt is a very underrated fighter. Mm-hmm. People now recently have been saying, "Oh, Mark Hunt is this, Mark Hunt's that." I've always thought he's a good fighter. Me too. He was always one of my favorites. Like, he's a hero to all pudgy dudes out there. Like, big shout to Mark Hunt, right? Like, he's my role model. But go on. Sorry. No. Like, what I was gonna say is like, I don't get why a guy like Brock Lesnar fought a UFC 100. So maybe that's why they're bringing him back. I don't think they're bringing him back for anything other than nostalgia. Like, Like the guy has like a serious like stomach condition, and he gets to fight, and then he's exempt from an IV or something.
No, he's
USDA.
basically he's exempt from like initial like drug testing, but like but what's going on right now? Like if you go look up the reports, like look on any website, Bloody Elbow, MMA Mania, things like that. Is that MMA Mania? I can't remember.
Yeah,
MMA Junkie. There's a lot of good sites out there.
I saw on a BJ Penn.
Yeah, but like they're actually actively testing him right now. So like there's a guy that comes to his house in Saskatchewan at 4 a.m. and like takes his piss every week until the fight. So it's gonna be interesting.
I think the dude's was on crank before that.
Oh yeah, like I mean, like he got caught. Like even when he was in the WWE, he was like part of that like list of guys that like were seeing that pharmacist in Florida.
Yeah, like Matt McMahon was like giving him steroids and shit like that, right?
I don't think he directly said that to him, but a lot of guys were.
Yeah, a lot of guys.
Right?
I remember like Eddie Guerrero, like he said that or something. Like that's another funny thing. Brock Lesnar's living in Canada. Like 5 years ago, he called Canada a third world country.
Yeah, like just like a few years ago, now he lives here.
Yeah, I know he's representing Canada. He's saying that he's fighting out of Canada.
Yeah.
For his thing, like the guy's like he's a All-American NCAA wrestler, and he's saying, nope, fuck it, I'm gonna represent Canada. Fuck, what makes you think we want him? Like we got George St. Pierre, we got Rory McDonald. We have these fighters that are coming up. We don't want this has-been. I'm not bashing you. You're a great fighter, Brock, but. Come on, man! You fought like 6 times in like 6 years.
Well, back in the day, like Lennox Lewis, like he was representing Canada in the Olympics, and then like all of a sudden, like he went back and represented his birth country, which is London, England, right? But it's sort of a similar thing. Anyways, like I'm looking forward to the UFC 200. I'm looking forward to seeing John Jones and Daniel Cormier. I think personally, Cormier, he's not going to get it.
I feel like. Did you watch John? You watched John. I know we were talking about this. John Jones last fight. He didn't look like John Jones, but I think it's because he got ring rust.
Yeah, it's ring rust.
But I also think that Cormier has a chance here because he's been working, training exclusively for John Jones, where John Jones was just lifting weights. He put a bunch of power there. So now at lifting strength, I'm gonna give John Jones the W there. But at the same time, in terms of like ready for this fight. I'll give that to Cormier. I got John Jones to win too, but I don't think it's going to be pushed like a walk in the park. Because last time it was like a split decision, and John
Jones just like beat him at his own game.
John Jones just wanted to beat him. He's like, I want to break this guy. I want to break him down. And Cormier was broken down. For this time, I think that John Jones is going to have a harder battle than everyone's been putting out. He's either going to have to put him away in the first round, or he's going to go the long distance and pull another Gustafsson fight.
Yeah. But yeah, it's gonna be a good all-around card. Well, let's rewind a little bit though. Like, what did you think of Michael Bisping's victory over Luke Rockhold?
Called it. I know that we've talked about this. I've always been a Bisping fan.
Yeah.
I think he talks too much shit, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
But he's a gatekeeper. Like, he's one of those guys. It was bound to happen. He outlasted all the fighters. He outlasted Silva. He outlasted Henderson. Henderson's still here, but the guy realistically doesn't have that many fights left in him.
Yeah.
And Bisping's relatively young guy. Like, I wouldn't say he's not Rory McDonald, but he's a young dude. He can still hold his belt on for a little longer. And when he fought Luke Rockhold, everyone's like, he's gonna lose, he's gonna be this, and then puts him away first round.
That was crazy. I think that was also, wasn't that like the first like knockout that he's ever scored, like in the UFC?
Yeah. I would like to see him. I would like to see him win one more fight because he's worked so hard. He's like the Kenny Florian of the middleweights.
Yeah.
Like, Kenny Florian jumped up and down, and he was a gateway fighter for so long because people had to fight him to get to the BJ Penn and stuff like that. And I think it's the same thing with Rory McDonald because I know I keep on going back. Rory McDonald he's a really nice guy. I met him. I pummeled with him. He's a strong dude. With Bisping, he's a gatekeeper, so people are gonna have to fight him regardless. They don't get a choice. Now Chris Weidman's. I mean, I'm not gonna calm down and out, but people called that because he wasn't as versatile.
Yeah.
And Luke Rockhold, I mean, he's going to come back, and that's going to be definitely going to be a fight number 2.
Oh,
or 3.
Yeah. 3. Well, did you hear about the rumor that Hendo's retirement fight could be against Bisping?
I would actually like to see that.
You know what? It doesn't make any sense ranking wise, but let's be honest. Like a lot of stuff that happens in professional MMA, like it doesn't really matter what the rankings
It's
are
about the
these days.
dollar at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
it's
right?
like who draws the most, and I think like Bisping Henderson 2 in London or something like that. Like that would get a lot of money for the UFC, and that would give like Dan Henderson a great retirement payday. And
Yeah, I mean, when you think Dan Henderson, you're thinking of someone that's been around forever.
Yep,
You know,
since 1997.
Yeah, so like the guy's been around almost 20 years in fighting. He's a pillar of the sport. So I know there was like a bunch of people going off on like Reddit and all these forums and on Facebook. Yeah, he doesn't deserve it. The guy is one of the greatest fighters of all time. He's at the same caliber as Randy Couture.
Mm-hmm.
I'd put him up there with the greats.
I personally actually put him over Randy Couture.
Really?
Well, because because Dan Henderson, he's also won like the Pride Grand Prix, and like think of let's look at like Dan Henderson's like record too. Look at all the people that he's beat.
Oh, I'm not gonna put him out like that.
Yeah.
I just don't. To put him up against Couture is he's 45 years old. So he's been fighting for 20 years now. Mm-hmm. And then what's this guy's record? This guy was 32 wins, 14 losses.
And basically like Dan Henderson's record, it's like a who's who of who's been in the sport, man. Like, he's destroyed like Wanderlei Silva. He's beat like, Shogun Rua, Vitor Belfort, he's beat those guys.
He's fought big guys. Like, it's people.
He beat Fedor Emelianenko. He knocked him out. TKO, sorry.
That's a whole nother thing for me. Like, Emelianenko, I don't know how I feel about him. He's a great fighter, but I don't think he should be fighting now. To be completely honest, like, he's a great fighter. I'm not gonna take away from him. I think he's an amazing fighter. I really do. I truly do think he is like he's the emperor.
Yeah, he's in my opinion, he's the greatest heavyweight MMA fighter.
Yeah, there's no argument there, but I don't think he should be fighting now. Because when you ever hear that term, like, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself,
become a villain. Yeah.
Look at George St. Pierre. He fought what's the guy's dude's name?
Hendricks.
Thank you. Johnny Hendricks. And in that fight, he got wobbled like 3-4 times. And, he made the right decision by retiring. Now he's going to come back for a super fight. Great.
He doesn't. I don't think he needs to though.
I honestly think he needs one fight to put him at the great.
I personally think he's up there already.
No, he's up there. I have no argument there. What I'm saying is he's always wanted to be the Muhammad Ali of MMA. And he's pretty damn close. I'm not going to take that away from him. From where we are right now, we're looking back and we're like, he's on that track. For all we know, Conor McGregor could come out and do the same thing. He needs that one fight that makes him the greatest fighter of all time. There's being the greatest of all time, then there's being the greatest fighter of all time.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Muhammad Ali. He's the greatest boxer of all time, but he's not the greatest fighter of all time. Mm-hmm. The greatest fighter of all time, in my opinion, and again, because he's still relatively young, is St. Pierre. Even Anderson Silva, he's one of the greatest fighters of all time. Mm-hmm. The greatest is still yet to be decided.
No, now that you bring that up, like this is actually getting kind of deep, like in terms of like MMA fandom. I'm trying to like think, look, who's like in your opinion, who's the greatest MMA fighter to have ever lived to date?
Greatest, that's hard. Right now, I'd say, I know I'm saying St. Pierre, so I'm gonna say St. Pierre again. I'll give you my top 5.
Okay.
Number 1, St. Pierre, hands down. Not gonna argue that. Number 2, I really want to say Anderson Silva, but recently he's been kind of a dink, so he's gonna be a tentative. I'm gonna go Matt Hughes, hand down. I met him, nice guy on the planet. I was ecstatic to meet him. Shorter than I expected. I'm taller than him.
Yeah.
BJ Penn and then Randy Couture. Those are my top 5. So there's people that'll go and say like Randy Couture is the greatest. Not gonna bash it. Like the all-time MMA rankings according to the site is actually St. Pierre, Silva, Emelianenko, Hughes, and then it tells me 21 more. I don't really feel like clicking on the website. Mm-hmm. So that's on its own. Here we go. It goes. What is the greatest fighters of all time? Like pound for pound. Oh, you know what? I have to put John Jones in there too. I'm gonna get rid of Silva. Put John Jones in there.
Really, John Jones over Silva?
Reason being, Silva, they're two different beasts. They're in the relatively the same weight because I think they could have fought. They really could have.
Yeah.
Anderson Silva walked around to like 210.
Yeah.
Where John Jones walks around like 220. It's not that big. I mean, it's 10 pounds of muscle in water weight. It's not that much of a difference. Like every day I fluctuate 5 pounds. So if I had to pick the two between that weight class, I'd be like John Jones would take the cake because he's so versatile. And he's just a great fighter. Where Silva was very cocky. You never saw John Jones doing like the.
Well, that's so true. Like, actually, you know what? Maybe that's one. Now that you bring that up, like, that's maybe like one thing that could be a detriment to like Anderson being one of the greatest of all, being the greatest of all time, is his tactics.
He was just too cocky.
Like he's so like he's super talented. If he just like stuck to like his game plan and just like executed it, like I mean like he would still be dominating. Maybe, who knows? I don't know. Right?
I mean, even then, like, if you watched, what was his fight? His fight was against Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen held him on the ground.
For 4 rounds.
He proved that he wasn't the greatest fighter. Like, Chael Sonnen is a great fighter on his own, not take away from the guy, but the guy's a wrestler. I wrestled for a long time. I wrestled at a high level, but you're not going to hear me say that, who can I say? You're not going to hear me say Matt Hamill is one of the greatest fighters of all time. Or Matt Hamill.
Matt Hamill. Yeah.
You're not going to he's a great fighter, but he's not the greatest. He was very one-sided. Chael Sonnen can put guys away with his hands, but at the same time he's a wrestler. Where, Silva was a stand-up guy who did strictly Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. And how did he get beat on the ground? You wouldn't see John Jones get beat on the ground like that. Like, I don't think there's been anyone that, like, Cormier is an Olympic wrestler. John Jones took him to school like it was nothing. You had Alexander Gustafsson. He's a convicted murderer. He's a great fighter.
Gustafsson's a convicted murderer?
Yeah, look it up. He was in prison for murder or something.
Wow.
Yeah, hold on. It was. I remember reading it.
We have to
Yeah, we're gonna sources. Watch. I'm gonna put $10 on this right now. $10. Can you make this bet?
Okay, sure. Alexander Gustafsson.
It was like attempted murder or something insane like that.
Attempted murder. Did you guys know that Alexander Gustafsson was sentenced to prison in 2005?
Yeah, see, like, the guy is I mean, he's not a convict. It was like aggravated assault. I think he got taken down from attempted murder.
Oh, well,
so he's a dangerous dude. Like, he is really, really dangerous.
He's legit dangerous. I didn't know this. He seems like such a nice guy.
He is. And the thing is, this is 10 years ago. The guy's 29, so he was 19. He was 18 when it happened.
Yeah.
So even at 18, he must have been at least 6'4", at least. 6 foot. He would have been a big boy.
Yeah.
So you have guys that came that are these straight brawlers fighting him. And look, there was one dude that John Jones fighting. Off the top of my head, I can't remember off the top of my head right now who he was fighting. But the guy was arguably one of the top fighters of all time for stand up.
Really, Gustafsson?
No. Alexander or John Jones.
Who's fought him?
Yeah.
There's Shogun.
So he fought one of the greatest brawlers of all time, Quentin Jackson.
Yeah.
Beat him. He fought Lyoto Machida, stand up, put him to sleep.
Yep.
He fought Rashad Evans. Unanimous decision, made him his bitch.
Vitor Belfort, one
of the greatest stand-up fighters of all time. He's known for his rushing. Put away. Submission. No problem.
You forgot Shogun.
Elbows. Every fight that he has, he fought OSP. I think OSP's Vincent Prue.
Yeah.
I think he's an up-and-coming. He's around the same age, but he's definitely got a lot of talent. He went to decision with one of the greatest. So where you got Silva, let's compare them right now.
Okay, sure.
Anderson Silva. He's called number 6 overall. So his record, he fought Nick Diaz and he got that as a no contest. He lost to Bisping, which on its own is a huge thing to say. He beat a lot of good guys. But he also lost to Chris Weidman twice. Chris Weidman is nowhere near the level of John Jones. Can you compare John Jones and Chris Weidman? Can you honestly say that? Chris Weidman beat him?
No, I can't.
Now, who beat John Jones?
Himself.
Yeah. Who beat Anderson Silva?
Himself, technically.
Well, I mean, the first time.
There's Chris Weidman twice, and then no contest with Diaz, right?
Yeah, and then Bisping lost. So can you honestly say that John Jones would lose in a fight to Chris Weidman?
No.
There you go. So if the guy that beats the guy that beats the other guy that beat that guy would not effectively by that line of thinking saying he'd be better than Anderson Silva. So for me, it's you know.
Well, yeah, that's a lot to think about. You know, now that you make that argument, as of right now, you could say that guys like George St. Pierre, John Jones, greatest of all time. You know, people that you should put on that list, I think, too, are like guys like Jose Aldo, guys like Demetrius Johnson. Demetrius Johnson, like he's
really underrated. You know, yeah. I don't watch him enough to like really appreciate him.
He's amazing.
Like, there's a guy that's out of Vancouver, and I used to train with him. His name's Gary Mangat. You know,
yeah.
He trains down with him down the States pretty often. I don't know that weight class because it's never been something I ever had to look at. Mm-hmm. You know, when I was competing, I was like 155. Mm-hmm. So I never looked at, 145 was realistically the lowest I looked. Mm-hmm. I know guys that are 135, like this guy named Dustin I used to train with, kicked the shit out of me. Like, Dustin, if you're watching this, dude, you are the toughest fucker I've ever met at that weight. And then this Gary Mangat who fights like 135 too, kicked the shit out of me.
He fights lower now, man. Like
125 or something.
Like I've introduced him like in his fights. Like Gary Mangat, he had like a pro fight in the BFL recently. Like I can't remember what event exactly, but like yeah, man, I introduced him. He's like 125 pounds. Like he started out at 145, right?
He's a big boy. That's the thing. That, like he's not much shorter than I am, but he's a dense. Like you grab him, he comes says what's up every time he's downtown. He says hi, nice dude. He's a friend. And at the same time, like for me, I never looked at that weight. So I can't respect it. And like the whole thing with Jose Aldo, I respect his grind and I really do, but I don't feel like he's gotten the title of like the greatest yet.
I think like something like in my opinion, like I think he's honestly one of the greatest.
He is one of the greatest. I'll say he's in the top 10, definitely.
Yeah.
Top 5.
But if you notice, like as of late, I don't like how he's handled his loss.
No.
He's actually handled it the worst. Like I've never seen like anyone like handle a loss like so bad. Like in my opinion, this kind of thing should like be motivation to like, you know, get back to like that horse again. But like he's been handling it horribly and making threats and all that kind of stuff like outside the cage.
Let's look who he fought. Like he fought Jonathan Brookins. That was the dude from Tough.
Yeah.
He fought Cub Swanson, Uriah Faber, Kenny Florian, Chad Mendes a few times.
Dude, what he did to like Uriah Faber, like I remember watching that fight live actually at like the Edgewater. Like they would hold the Edgewater Casino in Vancouver.
Yeah.
They would hold like like the live events in their theater, right?
Yeah.
Fuck, man, like I've never seen like anyone just destroy someone's legs the way Jose Aldo destroyed Uriah Faber's legs. Like that was fucked.
His legs are like bats. Mm-hmm. He's kicking you. He's trying to break your leg.
Yeah.
Not taking away from his fighting ability. I'm just thinking that he hasn't, fought any of the big names yet. Like, he's fought. There's so many guys in that weight class that he can't fight.
Well, I'm gonna argue, like, you have Cub Swanson, you have Uriah Faber, you have Chad Mendes, you have Frankie Edgar, who is arguably like one of the best today, right? He's up there. In my opinion,
sorry. When I say he hasn't fought, when I say to be the greatest, I think you have to fight everybody.
Yeah.
You have to clear out your weight class. He didn't clear out his weight class.
Well, if you want to be that fair too, like back like when Fedor was in his prime, he cleaned out the heavyweight division. Even when he was not in the UFC, he fought all the top heavyweights that were in the UFC at the time and beat the fuck out of them.
Yeah, and right? that's why he's a great fighter. But recently, I'm not going to say that I'm his biggest fan because I'll be honest, I'm not. He's a great fighter. His brother's a good fighter too. I just never was able to be like, this guy is the greatest of all time. He pulled there was fights he thought he was going to lose, and he came out of nowhere and won them.
Yeah.
Like he's a fighter by all means. So when I say you have to beat someone, like there's beating a champ and then there's beating the champ. Like you remember the Johnny Hendricks fight? Mm-hmm. Everyone's like, oh, Hendricks should have won that fight. In my opinion, no, it was a good call. Yeah. And I remember talking about this because he didn't beat St. Pierre. Because you have to annihilate St. Pierre. You have to make him know that he lost. St. Pierre's like, I put up a good fight. He threw punches back and he kept the pace. It's not like he stopped and started running away. Where like Fedor Emelianenko, like when he lost, it was pretty fucking obvious.
Oh yeah, of course.
So like, and when he gave up, he gave up. But have you ever seen John Jones give up?
I've never seen Fedor give up either. If you're referring to the fight against Bigfoot Silva,
thank you.
That was because like they stopped the fight. Like his fucking eye was like completely shut.
But even going forward into that fight, you watch him throwing you. It wasn't there.
Well, that's that's how like he's always like been. It's like, you know, he would throw with reckless abandon, and that's like sort of like the ways of like the old school. Like look at like guys like, you know, the Wanderlei Silvas, and look at like that was just how they fucking did it back then, man. Chuck Liddell, right?
They go until their hands break.
Yeah, pretty much. And like, you know, he didn't quit. Like they had to like stop the fight because his eye like looked like a fucking grape.
you know who actually I think is a testament, or two fighters that are a testament to the old school fighting style.
Okay, yeah.
Robbie Lawler.
Oh,
hands down.
Yeah, Robbie
Lawler.
The guy
is a crazy dude.
I think I also like, you know, you're a big Roy McDonald fan. Yeah, Roy McDonald, like he amplifies like the old school way, but like he also
new school technique.
New school technique. So he's like old school 2.0.
I think what's great about Roy McDonald is that people underestimate how good he is for this sport. You know, like you have these guys like that Alex Xerxes guy, the Bruce Lee gambit.
Oh yeah, Bruce Leroy.
Yeah, Bruce Leroy. There we go. Like his name's Alex Xerxes or something in real life, right?
Yeah, Sakaris.
Yeah, my mistake. Like he is a fighter, but is he good for the sport? But then you have guys like, you know, Conor McGregor. He's good for the sport too. He brings a lot of like people pay attention, but he doesn't actually like do anything. Then you have Nick Diaz, who the guy's a definition of a grinder. The Diaz brothers are. Yeah, like I've always been saying, like they're the best. They're the most underrated boxers. They're among the best in the world. You know, those brothers have fought St. Pierre and Anderson Silva, and they put up a good fight. You know, so on its own, that's a huge thing. Yeah, those guys are good for the sport. I think that each fighter has to bring its own thing. What's nice about Roy McDonald is he can do both. He can play a devil's advocate, or he can be a hero. You know, because when you watch the Lawler fight, I didn't know who to cheer for. I liked them both equally. Yeah, me too. Now thinking about it, I'm like, I think Lawler. I liked Roy McDonald. I met him. I used to train with Coulter Gill out in Abbotsford. Coulter, if you're watching, I still am sore on my shoulders when you used to beat me. He trains with Roy McDonald. Yeah. You know, and they're big boys, and you know, you're just like, fuck, that's old school kind of fighting. Because Mamba Coulter was
like your coach, like big shout out to Coulter. You know, like he represents like old school fighting.
Yeah, like on my first day of meeting him, he's like, "You think you're a fighter?" I'm like, "Is this like a trick question?" Yeah. You know, I wrestled for a very long time. I'm not going to say what level I got to protect the schools, but I got to compete for a very good level, and I got to compete against some of the best. In my eyes, I think they're the best at least. And then I get to fight Mamba. Mamba just beats the living shit out of me on the first day. I remember going home like, this is awesome. I have a concussion. You know, and then you get all these guys coming in, and you're like, I remember Dwayne Ludwig came in, and Mamba was just like unloading on him just to show us how to throw the punch. Same thing with Roy McDonald. Like, it's the old school fight mentality. Like, there's none of this like Sage Northcutt like fake shit where you fake punch it in. You know, don't know how to practice scrimmage for real and fight for real. It's like you're learning how to punch someone in the face and learning how to take the punch.
Well, like, you know, I mean, like I'm not a fighter. I've trained for a few years, but like I've never had that personal first-hand experience. But like, you know, scientifically, they're showing that like it's not fucking good to go full bore, like, you know, in training.
But you have to have the balance, man.
Well, you have to have a taste of that. Like you can't do it every weekend.
Yeah, no, fuck no. Right? Like we work in Island. We see guys beat the shit out of each other every weekend, and to be honest, a lot of times it's free. A lot of times I jump in if the guy wants to fight me. I'm not gonna say no. People in the industry know me downtown. They call me Dip Shamrock. Ken Shamrock, you're the king. They call me Dip Shamrock because I'm a young guy, and I'm known for scrapping, and I'm trained. People by looking at my face, you would never see any scraps. Yeah. So like for me, I'm like I'm 1% of 1% of what Roy McDonald is, because he's got the technique of like I can't say his proper name, Faraz
Sahabi.
I can't say his name properly for the life of me, but he got that technique. Then you have St. Pierre. You have all these you have David Moon fighting out there now. You have Jamie Siraj, a BC boy, and David Moon. They're both BC boys. Really high good technique, and you got these guys with these amazing technique, and you got a brawler, a natural brawler, like Roy McDonald's from like Kelowna or something.
Yeah, he's from Kelowna.
He came up with no training. And now look at him. He's fighting the UFC, one of the best.
That's really impressive. And that's also a testament to, like, you know, how good he is and everything. But you know, we're sort of running low on time. Like, I don't want it to go on for too long, but like, let's talk a little bit like about, you know, the nightlife scene. Like, one of the reasons like we're friends, like I met you through social media, but like it's also because we have ties in the nightlife scene.
Yeah.
And like, you know, what are some like the craziest things that you've ever seen, like working on Granville Street? For those that don't know, the Granville Street Strip in Vancouver, that's like our entertainment district. That's where a lot of the top clubs are, and that's where a lot of people go to have fun, you know, so.
The craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I wish you told me this earlier. I would have thought about this. The craziest thing I ever saw. Oh, this is a good one. So there's a nightclub called Venue Nightclub.
Yeah.
This is like a couple years ago, and there's this girl. So I don't know how true it is, but she got in a car accident.
Oh shit.
She wasn't at fault. She sued the guy for like $190,000.
Okay.
So they gave her the X amount of dollars. So she buys like a bunch of bottles at Venue.
Okay.
The chick pounds a 40-pounder of goose. And then the best part, she goes into the dance floor at Venue, pukes over and it's like it was sprayed out. And I remember being on the DJ booth and looking at it. I'm like this, like I'm watching this chick pound. And it's probably like 15, 20 feet, but you're watching her pound it. And I'm just like, holy shit, she's gonna puke. Sure enough, she puked over everybody. People like probably 50 people left. You know, and then you had people come in there cleaning.
Yeah.
That was the craziest thing inside the club. Now the craziest thing outside the club, that's a really you see so many fucked up things. Like there was one time,
unbelievable shit.
Oh, there was one time there was like 8 guys outside trying to fight these 2 dudes, and these 2 dudes beat the shit out of these 8 guys. And it wasn't like a lucky 1-2 punch. These guys were like squaring up and kicking, and throwing elbows.
Well, so these guys knew how to fight.
These guys knew how to fight.
Okay.
I talked to them after. They're both black belts in Wing Chun or something crazy, like Bruce Lee's MMA or something.
So like you mean like Jeet Kune Do?
Yeah, they were like crazy. Like, the guy
Do.
was throwing crazy elbows, and like there were 2 brothers actually. The one guy kicked the guy sore in the face. His head went back, and like it wasn't like a spinning kick. It was just like it was like a stepping kick. Mm-hmm. And I was like, fuck, that's crazy. And man, just seeing some crazy things. I seen some guy pull like he had like somehow got a machete into a nightclub.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
how do you sneak that in?
Yeah, so the bouncers the bouncer ended up getting fired. I can't say which nightclub it is.
Yeah, of course.
Protect that. But basically what it came down to, the guy came, it was like a Wednesday or something downtown. And I remember being downtown, I remember hearing about it because we would chat a bunch of promoters.
Yeah.
Our official title is event managers and coordinators, but we're just promoters.
That's pretty much like the same title I have.
Yeah, it's the same title. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Basically, like one of the homies sent a photo. It's like 40 cops inside the club. This dude was like wanted for murder in the States or something, or like other side of the country. And he was, I guess someone bumped into his buddy, and so he pulls his fucking machete, and the bouncer sees and gets it out of his hand really fast. And the machete, it was like 1.5 feet long. It was a big fucking machete. So I don't know how you missed that going to a club.
That is absolutely insane.
Like just thinking about that. So like, and then people always say like, oh, you're gonna get shot downtown. I've never seen a gun downtown other than on
knock on wood. Like we'll ever see that. You know?
Yeah,
I can't find any wood, but it's underneath.
There you go. I've never seen it downtown. I've never seen it, but like you hear about it, you know. So in my eyes, I'm like everything. Like, I've been in some crazy things myself.
Yeah, same.
You work at Harvard, so you can probably testify. Like some of the things that goes on there, like because those are giant raves every weekend.
Oh my god! Like it wasn't like we like I mean like you know for the most part like a lot of people that come out to the club like they're there for a good time, no drama, no trouble, but you'll occasionally have that fucking asshole that like just wants to be a tough guy or something like that. Why do you want to be tough in a place where you're supposed to have fun?
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, don't listen to me because I'm kind of a devil's advocate. I'm trying to tell you to be a tough guy so I can have some fun.
Like, I mean, like, for the most part, you want to go there, you want to hang out with your friends, enjoy some good music, if you're of, like, meet some, like, good people, like, beautiful people, all that kind of stuff. So I never understood why you want to get into all that type of shit, I mean, I understand a lot of it. I mean, it has a lot to do with, again, the little Indian culture, like, how tough guy mentality. I get it. The puffing out the chest and shit.
Yeah,
like,
you know what I mean, right?
Maybe that's like old school Filipino type shit, too.
Yeah.
Like, for the most part, like, us Filipino guys, like, there's a lot of Filipino dudes, like, in the industry, like, a lot of good DJs, a lot of good promoters. You're friends with a lot of those guys. Yeah.
I work with them. One of them is my closest friend.
Big shout out to J-Trax, a very good friend of mine. Known him since he was 17 years old.
J-Trax, look up visuals by J-Trax on Instagram if you get a chance. It's one of the greatest things ever.
Right? He's one of the most jolly people that you'll ever meet.
Oh, yeah, he's always happy. Right. But like, I've known him for 6 years. I've never once seen him like even getting angry at someone, and there's a fight going on. You know, and then you got my dumbass. If there's a fight like every other weekend, I'm jumping in.
Well, I'm actually going to share with you a story that, like, I haven't shared with anyone publicly. Like, this happened way before I worked for Solid. So, like, you know, any of my bosses or whatever watching, like, you know, nothing bad happened. Like, you know, I'm a good boy now, right?
I'm not.
So, like, I'm not going to, like, mention the company or the event or anything like that. I'm just going to tell you, like, so I was asked to, like, host, like, this university party. So it was like, this is way before I ever got into like raves and EDM events and stuff. I was mainly like doing hip hop nights, and I used to make rap music myself. And I've always been like a hype man of some sorts, right? So like, I get asked like from a good friend of mine, a well-known DJ actually. He's like, hey, I know this guy that's looking for a hype man for like their EDM event. It's their big university party catered to Asian people, right? We're going to have it at this place. And like,
I'm pretty sure you told me this before.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Right? Go on. We're going to have it at this place. We need you to like come out and like make the crowd all hype and excited. I'm like, all right, cool, man. Easy $200. Okay, here we go. Right? So like, you know, the place was fucking packed. Like, big shout out to all those promoters out there that brought all those people. Like, they packed that fucking place out. Like, it was way over capacity. And like, the cool thing was, majority of the people there were girls.
Yeah.
Right? Which is always a good look for the events, right? If there's mostly girls. So like, and this place also had like a liquor license. So like, you know, people are getting liquored up and things like that. And like the music's going, I'm hyping up the crowd, you know, saying, hey, ho, all that shit, right? It's a good time. And like around like 11 o'clock, like, you know, my ass, like, you know, to make the place more hype, like me and my friend, Jerry Scope, big shout out to Scope. Like, I'll mention his name because he knows this story very well. I'm like, yo, let's go get some girls. Let's get a bunch of them on stage. And this is while I was still single too. So, you know, if my girlfriend's watching, you know, I'm single at this time. Before I met you. Like, at least 4 years before I met you. Right?
He's sleeping on the couch tonight.
So like, you know, we pick out all the hottest girls that we can find at this event. We're like, yo, come on stage. We got bottles. Come on stage. So this fucking like stage, like it's a big stage. Like there's the DJ in the middle and the whole stage just full of girls and my fat ass and like my other buddy talking to a girl drinking a bottle. Right? We're all there. We're all just going ham and shit. And like, you know, people are drunk and like these guys, like they're like, oh, why the fuck are all the girls on this stage? I want to go on the stage too. Right? So a bunch of guys are trying to go on the stage and everything. And like the head guy who put on this event, he's like, yo man, go on the mic and tell like the guys to stop getting on the stage. I'm like, hey guys, stop getting on the stage. No guys on stage except for me. Right? And the DJ. Right? Yeah. Obviously these motherfuckers aren't going to listen. So they keep trying to come up on the stage. And like, it gets to the point where like security is like telling me, he's like, hey, tell everyone to get off stage except for you and the DJ. I'm like, okay. So like, I tell all these people to get off the stage and everything. And like, but a few of the girls, they stayed. They didn't listen to me. Right? Yeah. They stayed and everything. There's this one guy in particular. He keeps climbing up on the stage. And like, you know, I have to keep telling him, hey, get off to the stage, man. Like, you know, I don't want to tell you again. Right? And then he comes like, you know, 5 minutes later, like he's drunk out of his mind or whatever drugs he's on. He comes up on the stage and he grabs this girl that's beside me and he just holds her like this, right? Against her will. And the girl's like, hey, let me go. And I'm like,
stop it, my hair.
Yeah. And I'm like, fuck, this is happening on the stage right now. And I'm like, listen, man, you need to get off the stage or security's gonna come, like, you know, like, you know, fucking like kick you off the stage and they're gonna kick you out the event. You know what the fucking guy does? Grabs me by the shoulder, turns me around like this. And this is like while I'm in the back of the stage. He throws a right hand, right? And instinctively, like, you know, this is just something like, you know, if you're training, it's like muscle, like, you know, muscle reflex, right? So like, I'm gonna stand up and observe this, right? So like, the motherfucker like throws like the right to me. I block like this. And instinctively I do this. Boom! I fucking like throw the elbow right to his head. And he's like, right? And like, you know, I'm all pissed off and shit. Like, I'm in the back of the stage. I have him in the tight clinch. I'm like, motherfucker! I like keep kneeing him in the face over and over and over again. And I fucking dump him on the wall. Right? And he's like this. He's like all bloodied up and shit. Like I've never seen it before, like at this event. And like I come to my senses after, I'm like, oh my God, what have I done?
You're getting fired, I'm getting fired, I'm getting
right?
fired.
I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? What have I done? Right? So like I see like these two guys, like they grab him and they drag his unconscious ass off the stage. And they're like, look at me like, what have you done? What have you done? And I'm like, oh fuck. Like, you know, what am I gonna do? Right? It's like, I'm looking at my watch, I'm like, it's 12 o'clock. I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? What do I gotta do? So I'm like, okay, I need to get paid. Right? I need to get paid to get the fuck out of here. Right? So like, as I'm looking for like the guy that's in charge, like the lights in the venue turn on and the cops like start like, telling people to leave. Right? I don't know why at this point.
Yeah.
So like, you know, the cops are telling all these people to leave and all these people are like running out of the building and everything. And I'm like looking for the promoter. I'm like, Jerry, help me find the promoter, man. Help me find this guy so I can get paid and get the fuck out of here. Right? So like, and like, Jerry comes up to me. He's like, Ryan, you need to get the fuck out of here. I'm like, why? Because the cops are looking for you. I'm like, what? Oh shit. Right? Because like, it's coming to my senses that someone might have snitched on me.
Yeah.
Right? Like without knowing the whole story. And, you know, I find the promoter. I get paid. I run out the back of the venue. As I'm running out the back of the venue, there's these fucking guys. 5 guys with machetes. Looking for me. And like, they knew me as the host of the event. These guys have machetes and I'm fucking frozen. Like, you know, I'm not gonna like put up a tough guy front with 5 guys with machetes. I have nothing. I have to run, right? So like, these guys, like, they come towards me. They're like, yo, have you seen the guy that fucked up my friend? Like, my friend got really fucked up in there. Like, someone beat him up. And they said, like, he was on the stage with you. And, like, you know, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, fuck, I'm so lucky right now. And I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry about what happened to your friend. I heard you, I don't know where this guy went. I'm like, okay, no problem. They fucking, like, you know, start looking around the venue for this guy that fucked up their friend. Where in my mind is, I knew I fucked him up.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, oh, I need to act quickly because there's police looking for me. There's guys with machetes that want to cut me up. I need to get the fuck out of here. And then Jerry, like my good friend in his like silver Saturn, he drives by. He's like, Ryan, get the fuck in here. And we run into his car. We drive all the way to Metrotown and we eat at this pub place and we reflect on what happened. And like my phone kept blowing up, like with all these numbers that I don't recognize and everything. People like leaving messages on my voicemail, like threatening shit and all that kind of stuff. And then on the Facebook page, like it didn't get any better. Like people were saying, it's like, yo, like heard there was like heard the host like assaulted this guy, like in the back, you know. And like it got kind of ugly. Like there was even like a picture of the guy and shit, like his face. Like
was bad.
It was fucked, man. Like I don't know what I did to him, but like I had like all these phone calls and messages saying you should at least pay for his fucking surgery.
I'm proud of you.
Right, and then like after that day, like I actually laid super low. Like I never talked to these people again. I like even my younger brother. My brother's like, yo, don't like all the pictures of like where you live and shit like that. Take them all out, man. Because like I'm pretty sure like if these guys have like machetes, like you don't know what they're capable of.
Yeah.
You don't know who they're associated with. So I had to delete all these pictures, take out a lot of personal information, and that was my first experience hosting an EDM event.
You never see shit like that at hip hop. You only see people get their ass kicked, and that's really it. Everyone just all bark, no bite.
I don't know, man. That was like a crazy night. Like I never had to like do that kind of shit again after, but that was the craziest thing that ever happened to me in nightlife.
Fuck. Crazy thing ever happened to me? Well, don't got enough time for that.
Well, we're speaking on that subject. We're actually kind of like a little bit out of time. We're running like an hour and 8 minutes. Jay, this is your time, man. Like, let's plug some events or anything big that's going on for you, man.
July 1st, we got a boat cruise going on. It's all on the Facebook page for New Era Promotions and LCU Nightlife. Our weekly event at Deluxe Fridays at Caprice. Saturdays, we're at Studio Records on Granville and Venue Nightclub. If you see me, come buy me a drink. I'll probably make it a double because I'm an asshole. If you have any questions, you can hit us on the link. You can hit Brian, come party with us, and I hope to talk to you guys soon.
You want to plug your social medias, man?
Yeah, man. So on my Instagram, it's PHUGIT, so you can say fuck it. My Instagram or my Twitter is just fuck it. JUSTPHUGIT. I had to think about that, so I didn't fuck that up. I just say it's fuck it. That's what you're basically saying. Hit me up. If you, any pretty ladies, I'm in a relationship, but I can definitely deflect. Again, hope to see you guys soon.
Awesome. Well, this week I got quite a busy week on my plate as well. Like, this Friday at Harbor, we got, the legendary, Dutch-Turkish DJ, Umit Ozcan. He's going to be bringing all the bangers on Friday. And then on Saturday, I'm doing a double header. So I got, BFL 44 live from the Hard Rock Casino in Coquitlam. Right after the fights, I'm rushing over to, Harbor for W&W, which is another big sold-out show we got coming up. And yeah, man, Jay, thank you so much for coming out, for being my first guest.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome anytime to plug your events, tell us more crazy stories, and, talk about the world.
Sounds like a party. I give great financial advice.
Really?
I'm kidding. Don't listen to me. I give terrible financial advice.
Well, I have fucking, horrible financials. I was going to be like, yo, you should school us on that.
And next week, I teach you how to live in the Vancouver housing market.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Man. Thanks.
Thank you.